Hi, this is Gail and welcome. I am going to share with you the last pocket that Dee Dee has done, which is episode 19, and it's a super easy one. So stay tuned till the end of this, and then I'll show you what I'm doing with this luscious, yummy paper. Okay? Alrighty then, let's get started. Okay, this pocket is a trifold. That's all the word is, a trifold. And so, obviously you have pocket here, and a pocket here. Now, if you want to, you can do a little thumb notch there. Don't have to. Does the pocket have to be, the finished pocket have to be this size? No, obviously, you could use a 12 by 12 piece of scrapbook paper. I wouldn't use cardstock, though, because I think it would get way too bulky. But hey, that's up to me. If all you're going to do is send maybe this to someone, then cardstock is fine. But if you're putting it in a journal, you don't want all that bulk, or at least I don't want all that bulk. This is actually done from just one piece of paper. Now, I printed this off, and I printed it double-sided. You can print regular paper or use your tea or coffee stained paper, and then do some stamping and some stenciling and some decoupaging, collaging, whatever floats your boat. But for me, I wanted to show you super simple, but not just a plain Jane. Alrighty? So now, when I print on my printer, it does not print all the way to the edge. So I have to take off, I don't know, what is it, about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, something like that. So my paper is not the full 8.5 by 11. And so, excuse me. Okay, so it ends up being more like 10.5 by 8.1/8. Okay, 10.5 by 8.1/8. So then I use those measurements to decide where I am going to do my folding. Now, here's what I did. I did folds at 3.5. Okay, so for me, I come in from this side 3.5. There we go. There's my half. And boom. Oh, be careful, because this paper can't take. Yeah. Then I turn it around and do 3.5 again. If you go from the other side with your setup on your scoreboard, then do that. That's just how I'm doing it. Okay. So 3.5, and then on the end over here, 3.5. All right. So I'm not going to fold that right now, because on the bottom, I want to come in, and I decided that I would have a 2.5 inch pocket. Okay, you can decide on whatever you want. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold that up. And for me, it didn't really matter which way I do this. You're going to have some upside down, but, you know, whatever works. Okay, and I'm going to get rid of this so I can show you and burnish it. Okay. Oh, see, I just tore it with this. Wow. What is up with that? And it's crooked. Very sensitive paper, I'm just saying. Okay, now I think I have it straight. straight. Just really careful. Okay, and then I'm going to fold it in. And before I burnish it, I'm going to make sure. And then I'm going to fold it in, okay? And again, burnish it. And then over here, burnish it. But it is a little bit crooked. So, okay, there, and there you have it. Now we just glue, okay? Now, I know you don't have to glue here because it's going to stay no matter what, but I kind of like to. So, I'm going to glue on the ends. Oops. Sure I am. Yeah, my fine line. The tip bit the dust. Kind of happens to me a bit. I think I'm too rough on things. Okie dokie. Okay. Alright, so now I have my pockets and I have my trifold, and I can decorate it or do whatever I want with it. I am not going to go through that with you. I can't believe I did that, but anyhow. So you have pocket here, and a pocket here. And truly, we could put some washi up and down each edge here. And I think because this is so flimsy, I would put washi on the outside as well with this paper. Anyhow, excuse me. But now something to keep in mind is you could, let's say these were just journal, pages that you would put in a journal. You could sew them in here and have a little booklet inside, or sew them over here and have a little booklet inside. And you could also take this, fold it over, and then let's say this was the edge of a book page, fold it over the edge of the book page in the center, and actually sew the whole thing in to a book. And again, you could also use this as like a little gift to give to somebody with some goodies inside. Okay, so there you have it. Pretty easy one. And Dee Dee was inspired by Lori G, who was inspired by and received one of these from the lovely Eve Spaid. Okay, and I've seen these all over, so it is pretty simple, easy one, but a great one. So there you have the pocket. Now, let me show you what I'm doing with my lusciousness here. Okay, let me show you the first sheet I started with. Started with this. I watched a stream with Colleen the Scrap Chick and Kathy Berg. And they had taken different kinds of paper and used all kinds of things on them to create with, to get sort of a grungy look for steampunk, right? So now this was a piece of parchment paper, actually, and it feels like leather right now, and I have it prepped on the back so that I can play some more and put some more colors on it. Now, for me, what I did was I used some of the Distress inks. Well, these are the Distress oxides, but I use the Distress inks, like this one here, which is a spray stain, okay? I have some Distress stains. So I use those, 3 or 4 different colors of that first. And then I used some of these on there. This is by Finnebear. This is icing paste. Now I only used a little bit on here. This mostly took on a coppery look because some of the distress sprays were copper. Now I forgot to tell you that before you put anything down, on the bottom you put a layer of gesso, okay? And wherever you don't have gesso, it grabs differently on the parchment. And it still grabs on the parchment. But on baking paper, which I'll show you in a minute, it doesn't. It slides off. It's hard to keep anything on it. But anyhow, so first the gesso, then the distress spray inks, and then also on this one, I should say, before I even put the distress inks on, I did try to put a little texture in by using crackle medium. So I gessoed, and then I used crackle medium on here. I didn't have much left, so that took up about this part. Then the rest of it was from the Tim Holtz crackle paste. And you can see the crackle medium did a much better job of crackling. I mean, the crackle medium did some, and perhaps I didn't put enough on, so that could be the case. Okay, so then I did the sprays, and then these glamour pastes and metallic pastes. This is by, DecoArt Metallic Luster. I didn't use that on this one, though. But I did use Finnebear's icing paste. So, anyhow, then I thought, well, let's give it a little more texture. So I did some stamping and some mark making on here. And I was curious, would the stamping stay on or would it slide off? Of course, I always, when I do my stamping, I use archival ink. Then I know it's going to stay. Okay? And so that's how that ended up. And that was kind of cool. Leathery. So that could be a cover, you know, and then I can build on top of it. But I want to see what I can do on the inside as well with that. Okay, then I did this piece. And it was longer. I cut some off to do another experiment with. But this one is on baking paper. Then I gessoed it. And this time I used alcohol inks. So these are just alcohol inks, like walnut, there's like a copper. These are all the metallic ones that I used on here. And you can see down here at the bottom, or wherever there is no gesso, it doesn't stay on. And I found that when I went to cut some of it off and then emboss pieces, wherever I put the washi, which has very little stick to it, it actually pulled the stuff off. So I don't know that I feel super secure in this staying on if I do a lot more to it. And I don't know if I varnish it, if that will make it better or not. But I mean, it's got some yumminess, that's for sure. So there's that. Have not tried to do any stamping or anything on this. I feel like it may not stay on. Okay, so there's that. Then, before I show you these, let me show you this lusciousness. So this one was on this brown wrapping paper that you get, you know, when you get a package and they wad it all up inside to help fill the empty space. So all I did here was I did, again, all the distress sprays. And then I used Patty Pocket stains over top of it. But that dulled down all of the metallic paste, something fierce. And then I thought, and you can see, like, in here, that's where that's at. Kind of dull, right? But the other thing that I did do, and you can kind of see some of that, like right in here and right in here. You can see some. I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit up in here. I actually took some stencils and put some gesso through before I did any spraying. So I put on the regular gesso, then I stenciled some gesso on top. I didn't go real heavy because I didn't want this to be real heavy. So I got a little bit of a design that you can see in there. And like I said, after I put the sprays on, it was super bright, so then I put the petty pockets on. That stained, but then it dulled it down. And I think it kind of made things bleed a little bit into one another. So then I thought, well, I'm going back in. And then I went back in and I put on this, the Brilliant Turquoise, and then some of this, the Glamour Paste, and some of the icing paste. And so that I felt brought back the color. And then I actually used my finger when I put it on. And that, I think, helped to give it a little bit more pizzazz, if you will. So there's that. And then, Kathy and Colleen said, well, let's do some embossing. So I started with these pieces, and I embossed, but I wasn't sure which way to put it in to get embossing versus debossing. And so this is a sheet that was debossed. This side is debossed, and this side is embossed. I really like that too, a lot. Okay, and that gave it a really neat effect. And then this is embossed. And you can see some of the texture. And even the back of that is pretty cool. So, now, Kathy and Colleen then went over this to show the embossing more and put some more of like the gold or something else or a stain over top. I kind of don't want to do that. I don't want to take a chance it's going to dull it down too much, because I really like the pizzazz of these, okay? Now remember, those are the ones on the brown paper. Now, this was the stuff on the baking paper. This is just a leftover piece. I will use it for something, because it's got some luscious goodness on it. But, this is the one that I embossed. Now, with this one, let me show you the difference. For this one, I use this embossing folder, okay? Alrighty. But for this one, I used this. Looks very Art Deco, doesn't it? But it says it's an emboss deboss letterpress texture plate. So I used that, and you can see a little bit of the embossing. But again, this is baking paper, so that could be the issue. And then on the back, you see a little bit more. And I really couldn't add much more to it and still be able to turn the handle or get it to move through on my machine to emboss it. Yeah, it's okay. I'm not super impressed with that. But anyhow, that was just some fun I had. And I'll let you know what I do with these as I move on with them. So, get out there, create, make some art, have some fun, find your joy and focus on that joy. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. Bye-bye.